All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to In Tune. My name is Leon Harrell. I'm from OneMinuteMusicLesson.com, and I'm excited to have you this morning. We are going to be covering Michael Jackson's Thriller for easy piano. And really what we're going to focus on is sight reading through the music. We're going to go through preparing ourselves to sight read, and we'll also talk a little bit about scales and modes in this particular piece. So if this is your first time joining us, say hello in the live chat right here beside the video you're watching. And if you don't mind, let me know where you're joining from and what instrument or instruments you play. I had an interesting email this week from someone in the audience. They let me know they played chromatic harmonica, and I was fascinated by that. That was so cool. Again, if you are just joining us for the first time, say hello in the chat window. I see James saying good morning from North Carolina. Hey, that's where I'm from. What town in North Carolina? I also see David joining us from Toronto, who plays piano, and then James is guitar and some piano. All right, so, and if you'll notice, if you've never been on a live stream before, there's a little bit of a delay between when I'm broadcasting and when you hear it. It's probably about 20 seconds, which doesn't mess things up too much, but, you know, it's good to be aware of that. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. I see another person joining, Ian from Cambridge. All right, piano and accordion. Awesome. I have a little accordion on my bookshelf back here. I don't know if I can quite point to it. It's a little toy accordion. All right, and oh, Carol. Hey, Carol. And Carol's joining from Florida. Awesome, Goldsboro. I'm from Wilson, so right beside my hometown. Look at that, small world on YouTube right here. But I'm located in Champaign, Illinois now. No longer in Wilson, but my family's there. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch over to, let's see. I'm going to switch to my screencast. And what you're looking at here is an online piece of software called Piano Marvel. I've been talking about that for a couple weeks now. So if you missed our review of the product, you can always go to OneMinuteMusicLesson.com/Piano Marvel, and you can learn more about that, and you can get a free code to try a 30-day free trial of the software. But this morning, what I want to focus on is sight reading through this piece, and I'm just going to reload the page there. I've went ahead and taken a look at some of the stuff to prepare this morning. But the thing I want to talk about is how do we go about sitting down and preparing ourselves to sight read. Sight reading can really cause people to feel anxious or feel nervous because you're trying to do a lot of things at one time all together. And depending on your skill level, you know, there's a lot of moving parts. You're looking at the music. You're trying to position your hand if you're playing an instrument in the correct place. You're trying to move your fingers at the correct time. You're trying to read the rhythm at the correct time. You're looking out for accidentals and alterations from the key signature. So there's a lot of moving parts here. So to help simplify this, we sort of want to go through a pretty standard routine every time we sight read or practice a piece of music. So I use an acronym, SMART, to do that, and that just stands for signatures or key signatures, meter, A, accidentals, R for range, and T for tempo, so preparing myself to play at a proper tempo. So we're going to use that same method looking at this morning, but we're also going to use some of the features of Piano Marvel. In particular, there are practicing features that help you learn the piece. So we'll talk about that as we get to that part. But what I want to start with first is the signature, the key signature. So in this case, we've got one flat, and that's B flat in the key signature. But I want to show you a tool this morning that can help you if you are new to reading key signatures. And that is from the website musictheory.net. All right, musictheory.net has been around for over a decade. They've got a cool little app for the iPad you can buy called Tenuto. They have another app called Theory Lessons. But what I want to show you this morning is just a free tool that they offer under the Tools menu. And we're going to look at the Scale Calculator. All right, and this is going to be really useful if you are new to learning key signatures and new to reading music. So the way this works, and I'm just going to move this up a little bit on my screen so I can see it better. The way this works is you will first choose how do you want the notes displayed above. So you may prefer to look at a piano keyboard if you're trying to translate this for the piano itself. If you play a different instrument, you may prefer to just look at the staff. And depending on what you play or what skill you're working on, you may decide you want to look at this in bass clef instead of treble clef. Or maybe you want to explore alternative clefs like the alto clef if you play viola. But we're going to keep it set on treble clef for the moment. All right. And we're going to talk about this key. So the key signature is just one flat, all right, which I know is F major, all right? But this tool will allow us to explore different modes and different scales built on that same note. All right, so when we were looking at our sheet music, I'll switch back to the sheet music. We just see there's one flat there, so we need to determine what key is this. Well, a key, there's really only two main choices. Is it a major key or a minor key? But when we look at pop music, and really you see this in classical music too in certain pieces, we also have the option of modes. And modes are simply different rotations of any particular scale, any major scale. But let's look at this one. All right, if this piece were to be in a major key, it would be F major. All right, but in this case, once we listen to it and we look at it, we'll notice there's lots of phrases that end on D. So it's probably in some key of D something. So in this case, it's D natural minor, which is equivalent to the key signature of F major. Okay, so this tool will help you. If you put in the key, it will show you the key signature. This tool would not do it the opposite way where you put in the key signature and then see what key it is. Let's see quickly, do they offer that? Because it's been a while since I looked at that. Your best bet for that, there is a tool for that. You would choose the tool Analysis Calculator. We won't get into this a lot today, but maybe in a future episode. We're going to choose, down here the bottom selection is the key. We would choose one flat. We see that here. And when we hover over it, you can see it's showing us that's F major or possibly D minor. We have to look for context clues to figure out which one is it. All right, so if you don't know your key signatures at all, Analysis Calculator is good for that. All right, but we're going to go back to the scale calculator because we're going to talk about this scale for just a moment. Okay, so we're looking at D natural minor. So before I sight read this piece, I would want to play through this scale a little bit. And when we're playing piano, it's important to think about your what fingers play what notes. Same thing for other instruments. If we're playing like a wind instrument, depends on what fingering you might choose to play a certain note at. We're not going to get into all that this morning. We're just going to keep it simple and focus on the pitches themselves. All right, but I recommend before you sight read it, play through the scale a couple times. So I'm just going to do that on my keyboard. All right, and you can hear the sound of that. Let's just listen to the sound of D natural minor. All right, sorry, I'm playing the wrong B. All right, B flat's in there. So D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. All right, so if you have your instrument in front of you or available, give that a try. If you don't have an instrument available, just say the notes out loud as we read them from this staff. So let's do that together. We'll do it a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. All right, so that is D natural minor. All right, D natural minor is the same as the mode D Aeolian. All right, because the Aeolian mode is the 6th mode of the major scale. So we already knew this was F major, the F major scale. But if we look at the 6th note of that is D. So that would make starting the F major scale on D the Aeolian mode. All right, so natural minor and Aeolian mode are the same thing. They're just two different ways to think of the same thing. Okay? When we look at this piece, and we'll look at it in just a moment, we will notice that there are lots of alterations for the accidentals, and we will have some B naturals. All right, we'll see a large prevalence of B naturals. So if we were to have B natural instead of B flat, but we stay focused on D as our tonic or our root note of the scale, we would have D Dorian. Let's listen to the sound of that. Very similar to Aeolian. Let's listen to it sort of sustained. All right, that's the Dorian mode. Here's D Aeolian. All right, the only difference is the B flat becomes a B natural. All right. There's with the B natural. There's with the B flat. So very slight difference in sound, but that is going to make for a substantial difference when we see the harmony in this piece begin to unfold. So in the thriller piece that we're about to look at, we'll notice when we get there, we see lots of D minor chords and G major. So we'll move back and forth between these two chords quite a bit. So really, we're emphasizing a D Dorian mode, even though the piece of music is notated in D natural minor or D Aeolian. Okay? So now we're going to switch over to our sheet music. All right, so we've looked at the key signature. So remember, we're looking at an acronym of SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Key signature, the signature first. The meter next. So what is the meter of this piece? The meter is the time signature, and our meter is 4/4. So what does that mean? All right, what that means for us is the top number is going to tell us how many of the bottom number there should be in every measure. So there should be 4 on the top, 4, and then the bottom 4 indicates that it's a quarter note or a fourth of the whole. All right, so there's going to be 4 quarter notes in every measure. All right, so we'll count that 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. All right, and if you've been joining us over the last couple weeks, I talk a lot about information I teach in my book. I have a book called How to Read Music Easily in 30 Days. You can find that on my website. And really, the key problem that most everyone that has trouble reading music runs into is understanding the distinction between a simple meter and a compound meter. A simple meter means that the beat itself is divided into 2 equal pieces. So in this case, the beat will be a quarter note, and it divides into 2 equal pieces, 2 eighth notes. We'll see that throughout the piece. Here's an example on the word night. All right, the alternative, the other option, is a compound meter. So a compound meter means the beat is divided into 3 equal parts. In this case, we don't see any beats divided into 3 equal parts, so we're not emphasizing that at all. So we won't talk about compound meters today, but it's good to know, are we looking at a simple meter or are we looking at a compound meter? In this case, it's simple, and that tells us how to count it. So in this case, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 for every measure, and wherever the beat is divided in half, we're saying the word and. So for example, if we take a short look at measure 16, we would count this rhythm on the word night, 1 and. All right. So our meter, 4, 4, and it's a simple meter. So we'll count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, moving on in our acronym, accidentals, the A. Really, we want to scan through the whole piece before we start looking for accidentals. So I mentioned to you there's a large prevalence of B natural. And you may think to yourself, well, why are they notating it in F major with that 1 flat on the key signature at the beginning if most of the piece has a B natural? I think, honestly, the arranger of the music is just trying to emphasize the key of D minor, which part of the piece really is in D minor. Whereas when we notate music in modes, most often things are notated in major or minor. You could have just put this in an open key signature or C major, and it would not have affected most of the notation. All right, but in this case, regardless, we're scanning the piece for accidentals before we play it. So measure 3, we see this B natural. Moving on, a couple systems down, we see another B natural here. Continuing to scan down, we see some more B naturals. All right, and again, it just keeps repeating. We see lots of B naturals, but we do have some B flats in the piece, so we have a presence of both of them. We just happen to have more B naturals. All right, so if I had this piece of music, here's an example where the B is flatted again. If I had this piece of music in front of me and I was going to sight read this, I might use a pencil or a pen or highlighter or something to indicate these accidentals, just to highlight them. So when I'm sight reading it, it's one less thing that I have to sort of think through to figure out. Okay, if we were to continue to scan the piece, somewhere in the bridge, I think there's a C sharp, which makes sense because C sharp is our leading tone back to D. All right, so I'll highlight one section here, and we'll look at this as we sight read it. This is, I think, the end of the chorus, maybe. I forget the section. We'll look at that when we get there. But you'll see there's a larger prevalence of accidentals here. We see an A flat, a B natural, another A flat. So we're utilizing all the pitches possible in a D harmonic minor, which is, well, not quite D harmonic minor. We don't have, we've got an A flat. Normally we would just have an A there. So really we're probably highlighting some secondary dominants, and we could look at that closer as we get to that part. Okay, but our goal here is scan the whole piece, look for accidentals before we read through that. Okay? All right, moving on, the R in the SMART acronym. We're looking at the range of the piece. Look at the notes on the staff throughout the piece and notice, are there any parts where the staff, where the notes are above the staff or below the staff? Are we spending a lot of time in an unusual range or register for the instrument? All right, if you play maybe piano or violin or flute or piccolo, you might look for indicators of this music is up an octave. We don't have that in this piece, so I can't show it to you, but you're looking for things that basically say this music is outside of the typical range, which means for you as the player or the sight reader, your hands are going to have to move somewhere on the keyboard that is out of sort of your normal position. All right, same thing for other instruments. If it's the guitar and the notes are way up high, you're moving way down the fretboard to play that on the neck of the guitar. All right, so we just want to be aware of the range. Last part of the acronym, the T in SMART, is the tempo. So the original tempo for Michael Jackson's Thriller is 119 beats per minute. This music is notated. The rhythms have all been augmented or doubled. All right, so if we were to play this sheet music at 119, it would be half the speed that we expect it to be. But as we practice this piece, we're going to practice it using the preset practice mode in Piano Marvel. They've got 3 tempos marked for us to try: 100 beats a minute, 130, and 160. So we won't actually play it at the full tempo of the original piece of music. And that's partially because it's notated for easy piano, which does lots of different tricks to make it easier for you to read it, but that may make it harder to read it at a fast tempo. So if we were to look at the normal published version of this piece of music, it would look different than what you see on the screen. Okay, but that's a long way of saying we're going to practice it or sight read it at a tempo that's much slower than we might perform it at. Okay, so just reviewing that one more time before we start. SMART acronym: the signature, the meter, the accidentals, the range, and the tempo. Okay, and by signature we mean key signature. Okay, so let's take a look at that, and we're going to use some of the features of Piano Marvel to practice this piece. So if you look along the bottom of your screen, you'll see there's a button that says Practice, and that's going to bring up a little menu that gives us 3 choices in most of the pieces in the software. So we'll have the option to read through the whole thing, chopped or minced. You'll see these 3 options here: whole, chopped, or minced. All right, and what that means is whoever has put this music into the system, either the publisher or maybe another teacher that teaches with Piano Marvel, they've went ahead and marked for you the sections of the piece to make it just easier to break it down and practice it. So if we were sight reading something that was really super easy for us to read, we might just put it on the whole setting, and then we might decide, okay, I'm going to just read the whole thing left and right hands together. So that's number 3 here. Or maybe you just prefer, for sight reading purposes, maybe you're in the mood to practice just the bass clef. So we want to look at just the left hand alone. All right, so basically we're going to launch the piece of music by using one of these choices over here. Do we want to look at the whole piece, the left hand or the right hand? And then these 3 columns, we'll see tempo choices. All right, 100 beats, 130, 160 beats a minute. We're going to stick to 100 beats a minute for our examples today. And rather than jumping into the whole piece right off the bat, we're going to start with the chopped option. The chopped option in this case has been preset into how many sections? Let's see. They've got 23 different sections, so you can break down the piece in smaller pieces. And they have labeled them with the song structure. So we can see the introduction, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, repeated material, so some of those things come back again, the coda, and then the ending of the piece. Okay? All right, if we were to look at the minced option before we jump into the chopped one, it's similar material, but it's broken into left hand, right hand alone, smaller sections of the music. There's just lots more pieces to practice there. All right, but we're just going to keep it on chopped. We're going to start at 100 beats a minute, and we're going to focus on just the first 12 measures together. So I'm going to click that first star. You'll see at the top of the music it tells you measures 1 through 12, the intro. All right, and if we scroll down, it shows us more music, but it's grayed out. So the program is going to stop playing once we hit the end of measure 12. Okay? All right, so we're going to sight read this together. And you need to think about sort of what level are you in your sight reading ability. If you're looking at this piece of music and this definitely feels overwhelming to you, like this is just beyond your skill level at the moment, What I would like you to try is to only clap along, and you're just going to clap along with the rhythm. We'll do the rhythm of the top staff, the treble staff. Okay? So for example, the first measure we might say, there's 2 half notes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. So you're just going to be clapping if this is clearly above your level. If you're comfortable with that, but it still seems a little challenging to play on your instrument, or you don't have your instrument available, go ahead and we're going to clap it in rhythm, but I also want you to say the names of the notes. We'll take the top melody note there. So for example, the first measure might be D, C. All right, and you can either clap the tempo along softly while you say it in rhythm, or you could clap and say it in rhythm together. Okay, so if you want to choose saying the names of the pitches, is sort of the next level up. All right, if you have your instrument and you're ready to sight read it playing it, go ahead and play the top melody note. All right, and then from there, if your skill level is higher than that, make a choice. Do you want to read the left hand with me? Do you want to read all the notes together with me? I'll play them all, but it's really up to you what skill level is most appropriate for you. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use the prepare mode before we do the assessment mode. So in Piano Marvel, what makes this software really brilliant for practicing not only sight reading, but just practicing for regular music lessons, is that it is designed for the different ways we need to practice. So the prepare mode will allow you to be the driver of the tempo. And what I mean by that is when I hit the prepare button, once I start playing my keyboard here, which is connected to my computer, that will move the cursor forward. So I'm in control of the rhythm and the forward motion of the piece of music. The assessment mode beside it is the opposite. The computer is in control of the rhythm and the forward motion, so I have to keep up with it. And in assessment mode, it will track, how well am I playing it with the notes. It'll mark them green if they're right and red if they're wrong. Let's do the prepare mode together, and what I like about the prepare mode is that allows me to count the music, to count off the music in whatever tempo and time I choose to. So when I count off before I sight read, I like to count 2 full measures. So that will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, etc. So it would be like that. I like to give 2 measures because the first measure helps allow for that natural anxiety of sight reading to pop up, and gives me time to respond to it. If I only count off 1 measure, most of the time I'm just not ready on the downbeat of the second measure to start. So I just like to give 2 measures, especially if we're in sort of a group setting where we've got lots of people with lots of different skill levels. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to click prepare. I'm going to count the 2 measures, and then I'll start playing it on the keyboard while you count or clap along. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the program will stop. And then I will be able to continue on preparing or assessing the piece. All right. So if you have a question on what we've covered so far, throw that into the live chat. If you have a question about the acronym we covered, the scales or the modes or the counting of things, let me know. When you're done reading through the prepare mode, it's going to pop up a window that lets you know just sort of a report of how your progress is going. All right, so I'm going to do this same section again, now in the assess mode. And when I hit assess, you'll hear the program count off. It'll count 1, 2, set, go. It says set, go for the last 2 beats of whatever it's counting. It only counts off 1 measure. All right, and then it will play the piece along with some accompaniment. So you'll hear some drums and a bass guitar playing. And I will have to keep up with the piece. So the cursor will move right along, right in tempo. So let's take a look at that. If you want to follow along, clapping, get your hands up and ready to go. And here we go in assessment mode.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. And then we could continue practicing. So I played every note correctly there at the right tempo. All the notes are listed as green. And it's given me a score of 100 points. So if you earn 80 points or higher, you'll earn some kind of trophy. I like that about Piano Marvel because it's two-factor. One, it's objective. It's measuring exactly how correctly did you play the pitches and the rhythms. All right, so it's just objective about that. And then it's also basically helping me stay motivated by giving me a score, and these little trophies is sort of like a gamification element. You can earn a bronze, a silver, and a gold trophy for each little section you're practicing. And then when we look at our practice menu here, it will tell us, you know, I earned 100 points, 100%. For the introduction section at 100 beats per minute. All right, so if I was practicing this for like a music lesson or just to learn it on my own, my aim would be to try to fill in all these stars here because I would progressively be getting better at playing the piece. Let's move ahead now just to keep things lively to the chorus. All right, so we're going to look at the chorus of the piece. All right, and you'll notice it starts here in measure 42, 43, 44 on beat 2. So beat 1 is kind of grayed out a little bit. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the prepare mode so that we're the driver of the rhythm, and then we'll do the assessment mode. When we're looking at this, we're still same key. Nothing has changed. We still really have a high emphasis on the B natural. So we're in that D Dorian mode primarily. But we do have the return of the B flat here. So in measures 49, 50, 51, you'll notice we're moving from B natural to B flat. Okay, and then the piece is going to stop us here. So that's really just half the chorus. But this piece just repeats the chorus, this phrase twice. Okay, let's do this in prepare mode. All right, so if you're following along on your instrument, you just want, when you're ready to prepare for sight reading, go ahead and put your hand on the spot of the first note in both hands. So for my right hand, my first note is an A in the middle of the clef. All right, right here. All right, what's nice in Piano Marvel is you can just click the note and it will tell you where that is on the keyboard. But go ahead and prepare your left hand. Your first note in your left hand is a D. Put your finger or your pinky on that note so that you're ready for it when it gets there. All right, because your left hand's not doing anything right here. Okay, so let's do this again. Prepare mode and then assess mode. Okay, I'm going to count. I'll count one measure and then beat 1, and we'll come right in on beat 2. So let's do that together. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then the music's going to stop there. Okay, let's talk about some tips for sight reading a passage like that. Okay, and it's going to take just a moment to tally the score in the background. All right, so when we're looking at this section, measure 44, where did it go? Just scroll back up there. Some things about sight reading you want to get in a habit of, because it takes a while to learn the skill and get good at it. When we are reading the last measure of any particular line or system of music, we want to go ahead and move our eyes to be looking ahead at the beginning of the next line. Same thing goes that when we get towards the end of this line, we want to go ahead and be looking up at the top for the next measure. What I like about Piano Marvel is you don't have to do any page turns. It's going to automatically do that. So once the music plays past the end of the first system here, or this first line of music, you'll see what looks like a page tear sort of in the middle. That's letting you know that they've already turned the page for the music on the top while you're playing the bottom, and that gives you time to prepare or look ahead at that next piece of music. Okay, so one more time, we'll do it in the assess mode this time. If you are at the beginning of your journey reading music, go ahead and just clap along with the rhythm on the melody. If you are maybe working on your bass reading skills, maybe say the pitch names of the bass clef as we get to this part in the bottom. All right, or just play along on your instrument depending on your skill level there. All right, whoops, I clicked the button and knocked ourselves right out of the piece. So we'll load that up. We'll do that in assessment mode. And we're going to do chopped on the chorus at 100 beats a minute. Okay, remember it's going to count us off just a measure. And I think when you start on a different beat besides the downbeat, the first beat of the measure, the set go part that it says can be a little confusing. So forgive me if our entrance is a little wobbly. All right, here we go.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So again, it's marked notes I've gotten correct, notes I've gotten incorrect. So here, it looks like I've played a C instead of a D, just off a little bit there. Okay, so that's the chorus. And then just before we're running out of time today, let's go ahead and move forward to the bridge section. Or rather, let me see. Yeah, we'll look at the bridge. Okay, I think the key here in the bridge that they've marked is that this is the most intensely chromatic section of the music, and by that I mean there's the most number of accidentals outside the key signature. So before we play this, let's talk through it and think through it, and then we'll sight read it together. And you've got a lot of challenges going on in this spot. So don't feel bad if this is beyond your skill level, because you've got a lot of things cooking. We've got accidentals, B flat and A flat here, returning to the B natural just 3 beats away. A flat in the soprano here, B flat in the tenor there. A natural over here in the soprano, So we're alternating A flat, B flat, and then A natural, B natural, all over the place. In addition to that, the whole piece has been in this feeling of just a standard 4/4. So it's accents on beat 2 and 4, and like most pop music. But here you'll notice our accents are on. It's sort of a pattern of 3. So in the bass, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right, and that's why this sounds a little. It sounds very interesting in the original piece when you listen to this part of it. Okay, we're still going to count the music the same way, but it's important to know that the structure of the music, or the structure of the rhythm here, has changed a little bit, so it can make it harder to sight read. Okay, we're going to do it in prepare mode. We're going to start right on that downbeat, I believe. The program has the part of it grayed out, so it's hard to tell exactly what it's asking us to play. But I think it's asking for the whole chord. So we'll do that together. Hands up, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then the screen will just sort of gray out when you hit that last pitch there in prepare mode. Okay, it'll go through again and calculate for the report. All right, and we're going to do that again in assessment mode, so we can try it a second time. All right, but depending on your skill level, the thing I would like you to focus on, if so far all of this has been very challenging for your skill level, why not focus this time on the soprano line or the treble clef here? All right, just clapping the rhythm. So if we're looking at this, it starts with a rest. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. It's a challenging enough rhythm for you'll get something out of just that exercise alone. All right, if really reading the pitches is what you're trying to focus on, either say them out loud or play them on your instrument depending on your skill level. We're going to try it again in assessment mode. I'm going to take it down just a hair bit, just so you have a chance if that speed is a little too high for you. Okay. And let's try it now.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So it's going to score our piece. It won't track the score, I think, if it's under 100 BPM, which is what this little bubble is telling us. But it will indicate these were the notes we got right. You'll notice if your timing is off just a little bit, it will let you know by how much. So just sort of bump the note out a little bit. All right, but overall, not bad for sight reading at all. Okay, looking at the rest of this piece, the majority of it is just repeating what we've learned so far. The only part we have not covered is just the verse of the music. So let's go back for that. Let's look at the opening verse. Measures 13 through 20. All right, we'll reset our tempo to 100. All right, and same thing. So we're going to look at this in prepare mode, then we'll look at it in assessment mode. All right, again, we have our B natural here. And, all right, so we're just looking at these first 8 measures. All right, you may notice this last measure might look strange to you. You might say, well, why is that quarter rest hanging out way up high? And that's a good question. I don't have a good answer for you. We would expect it to be right in the middle, not up quite so high. Oh, I see your comment, David. Screen's gone fuzzy. It probably has to do with the speed of my internet. Hopefully the live stream, if you catch the replay, it should be a higher quality if something's missing there. All right, but we're going to give it a go from the beginning. All right, in prepare mode, I'll count you 2 measures, and you focus on what you need to work on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Off. All right, so we lift our hands on beat 4 there. Okay, the bulk of this piece is literally just repeating these couple measures here. All right, so of course the lyrics are different, and there might be slight changes in the melody, but overall we're just alternating between a D minor chord and a G major chord. All right. So we're really just repeating the same material with slight alterations. I think that makes it a good piece for sight reading, because once you start to get the hang of it, the difficulty level will go down, but you still have to actively count and read the notes because there's slight alterations in there. Let's do this part again in assessment mode. All right, it's going to count off 4 beats for us. I'm going to slow it down just a hair for our assessment so you have a little bit better chance to follow along. And here we go.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it's going to track our score in the background. All right, and then there was just a small flub I played here on this note. So I love this software in that it tells you very clearly what you played correctly, what did not come out correctly, so you can focus on repairing those errors as you practice. We don't want to practice playing the same mistakes or errors over and over. Okay, so as we're rounding out the end of our hour here, let's go ahead and give a go at sight reading the whole piece. I'm going to do it a little bit faster so we can get through the piece a little bit easier. All right, and maybe we'll just do half the piece. It's quite a long piece of music in the software. We've got just over 200 measures of music there. So maybe we'll do about half of it just for time's sake. Okay, so we're going to go into the practice mode. We're going to the whole, and we're going to do the whole piece at the highest tempo they've got, which is still a hair bit slow, I think. And again, focus on your skill level. If everything we've covered still is just above your level, try just counting the meter, 1, 2, 3, 4, and following along with the cursor. Just get yourself used to following music at a higher tempo. That's really the first skill in score reading that anyone has to master. And even as you get better, you may find yourself in a situation where you're reading like an orchestral score and you can't follow every note on the page. So you get used to just moving along at the correct tempo, just so you can capture what you can. All right, we're going to start it again from the top in assessment mode. All right, choose your challenge, and here we go.
1, 2, set, go.
1, 2, 3, 4. So it just repeats material from that point. But I will tell you, I do think the bridge of the piece measures 44 through 68. Let's take another quick look at that. I think this is the hardest part of this to read. I'm pausing because I don't see it here. That's maybe not quite the right spot. Let's see if we can find that spot. It's later in the piece than that. Thriller. I think it's measures 119. Yeah, let's look at that. So 119. Measures 117 through 1. Yeah, I think this is the hardest part to sight read because it is a little different than the patterns that have been set up before. So you may want to go through that a little bit slower as you get to that part. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for Thriller. On our show next week, we're going to take a look at the theme from The Munsters, which is also found in the Piano Marvel music library. So if you enjoyed what we covered today, I encourage you to try a free trial of Piano Marvel. You can find that at our 1-minute music lesson toolbox. I'll put the link up on the screen. In our toolbox, you'll see a link to my book, How to Read Music Easily in 30 Days. You'll see a link to Piano Marvel, where you can also get a 30-day free trial code. And I also have a third tool that I recommend a lot called Earmaster. If you're looking to improve your ear training skills, you can get a 30-day free trial of that as well. David's asking some questions here in the chat window. Do we suppose Michael Jackson wrote it out like this or eared it? As best as I can recall, most of the time when Michael Jackson is composing, he did so into like a tape recorder with a combination of playing the piano or tape recording. This particular piece is composed by Rod Temperton. So Michael Jackson didn't compose it, but I did a little bit of research on Rod Temperton. If you don't know much about him, he's written lots of pieces you've probably heard. I'll pull some up on the screen. But to answer your question, it wasn't written with this exact notation. If you were to look that up, I'll just show you a quick example from Sheet Music Plus. Because I looked at this before the show. Let's look at... Let's see. It's notated a little bit differently. Oh, this is for a whole concert band. You know what? I'll send that out in a link through the newsletter just for sake of time. But it's notated in half the rhythmic duration there, so it's a little bit easier to play. But again, if you enjoyed what we covered today, you can download all these tools from our toolbox URL. Other things to think about if you enjoy the show, we always welcome your support. You can always visit our page, 1minutemusiclesson.com/support, to learn different ways to support the show. Really what we're trying to do every week is talk about how to develop an intentional practice habit using all different tips and methods. Some things that help out the show and help the channel in general: if you like, subscribe, or click the bell for notifications. A lot of times I think clicking that bell is so stupid, it's like overkill, but what's nice about it for live streaming, when you click the bell, you'll get notified whenever we do a live stream. Soon enough, I want to start doing some midweek live streams, and I don't really want to have to always send an email and all that jazz for that kind of stuff. So if you click the notification bell, when we do things in the middle of the week, you'll just get notified whenever we're live, and you can hop on and watch if you choose to. All right. Other things to think about, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. And you can also visit 1minutemusiclesson.com/mailbag to submit your questions ahead of time. And that's really going to be it for today. I appreciate all of you joining live, or if you're watching this throughout the week. We hope to see you again on a next live session. We do these on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is Chicago time. But you can always convert that to whatever your local time is. Okay? That's going to be it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of In Tune. Take care. Have a good day, guys.